Welcome to Jaztime. Jaztime.com is an online store that buys, sells, trades authentic luxury watches. We make these videos so our customers can easily choose the best watch for themselves in the comfort of their own home. If you like this watch and would like to purchase it at the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below to buy it at Jaztime.com. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Cartier Santos de Cartier watch. Reference WGSA0018 in rose gold with a white Roman dial. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the history, then tell you where does this watch stand in a lineup of other similar Santoses, then tell you about the case, bezel, dial, bracelet movement, finally try it on and give you my thoughts. So let's start with the history of the Santos. Now the Santos is actually Cartier's very first watch. When they first came out with the watches in 1904, it was this square, basically square style that you see in front of you. And it has really done very well since then. They've come out with tons of different variations of it. I read somewhere online that they came out with the first one in 1904, but something happened and they couldn't release them until 1911 or something like that. I'm sure you can read the details, but basically the point is it's been around for a long time, over 100 years. So we know this design is tried and tested, and the Santos will always be one of Cartier's top lines. They make many different collections, but the Santos in this beautiful and unique square shape is always going to be a signature of Cartier. In fact, I would call this the signature of a Cartier watch. When I think of a Cartier watch, that's what I think of. Now, I know they have many different collections. They have the Tank, they have a Bag & Noir, they have the Santos, the Ballon Bleu. I mean, really, when it comes to case shapes, I think Cartier is probably number one. Not a lot of brands mess around with the shape of the case itself. Usually they do a circle, or in the case of Audemars Piguet, they make it as octagonal. Basically most of their watches look octagonal. Richard Mille, basically all the watches look tonneau shaped. And Rolex, basically all the watches look like Submariners or Datejusts, more or less, just different variations of it. But Cartier really goes out on a limb and they make their shapes very, very interesting, strange, cool, and they actually they're not just fashion, they withstand the test of time. This watch would be a perfect example, be it that it's the same basic idea has been out for over 100 years. You can imagine you wearing a similar watch to somebody who wore one in France 100 years ago. That's pretty cool. Okay, that's where this watch stands, or a little bit about the history, okay? Now, where does this watch stand in the lineup of other similar Santoses? Well, as you can imagine, since the Santos has been out for so long, there's tons of variations. At least as of 2024, there's actually 48 different models. So you can imagine they have the highest and the highest and the lowest. The cheap ones are going to be the ones that are made in stainless steel. And now when I say cheap, I mean they're cheaper in comparison to gold ones or skeleton ones that are like $70,000. They're only around $7,000 and change. And so that's a pretty reasonable price considering almost everything else is the same, even the movement except the dial and what it's made of. Okay? And they make the Santos in all different sizes, small, medium, large, as well as different movements in automatic, manual winding. For the skeleton one, they make quartz, which is battery wound. They make small ones. I mean, really, they make it for every wrist size, for men, for women. It's almost like their Datejust, if this were like a Rolex. And they make it in almost every variation of steel with different dials, steel and gold, on leather, on rose gold, yellow gold. I mean, really, they make tons of variations of it, and rightfully so, because it's a very beautiful and iconic watch for Cartier. Okay, so that's where this watch in particular is rose gold with a white dial. So It is very beautiful, and it's a mid pack, I would say, because Cartier makes steel ones that are like 7,000. They make these crazy open works, which are open work skeleton dials, which are like 70,000, and then they make these ones which are around 30,000. So it's kind of mid pack, but mid pack is not really. I'm not sure that's the right way to describe this watch, because it's still a very luxurious high end watch. Okay, and made in this. It's like a huge brick of rose gold. Very luxurious, high class looking. You could easily wear this with a suit. Okay, anyways, let's move on and talk about the specifics of this watch, starting with the case. Now, the case on this one, it's a square, and the case width, meaning left to right, is 9 to 3, is 39.8 millimeters. That's 40 millimeters, basically. And if you look top to bottom, 12 to 6, because it's a square, it's also 40 millimeters. So it's a square that goes 40 millimeters going up and down. And I think that's a pretty good size for a dress watch. All right. Dress watches between 39 and 42. That's the best. Now, the thickness is actually not thick. And that's pretty good, because the thickness is only 9.38, which is, let's call it 9 millimeters. It's quite thin by most standards, by every standard. Okay. And surprisingly, for this thickness, the Cartier doesn't get enough credit for their movements, but they're able to have a mechanical movement, automatic winding without any, it's automatic, has a rotor in it, which also adds thickness to it. It's a caliber 1847 MC, and they're able to do so and still keep the watch at a very slim 9.9 millimeters. Very nice, if you ask me. Okay. Now, the case itself, what else I like about this case is that the bezel part of it is high polished, and it has these screws that hold the bezel down. Now, you might look at that and go, why should you do that? You know what? Think about this. I actually think, and I'm going to go on a limb here, is that Gerald Genta, who created the Royal Oak, the most famous sports watch in the world, he created that with an octagonal bezel, and then he put those screws in it. Many people have followed suit since then, like RM, Hublot, of course AP has done it like crazy. But where did that all start? This watch, the Santos, came out 50 years before the Royal Oak, and it as you can see, it kind of has a little bit of that design where you have the bezel in an odd shape, not a circle, and then you have these screws that hold it down. Instead of just putting a flat bezel, they have these screws that hold it down. I'm not sure if they did that because it's functional and then it just became aesthetic, or they did it aesthetically, but at any rate, it looks really cool. If you think about it, the Royal Oak is just a similar version of this, except a square, it's a octagon. It still has the same basic look like this. And if you think about it even further, RM takes the AP and sort of does it in a tonneau shaped. And AP is known for their super innovative materials and design, and Richard Mille took it one step further and made it even crazier. But where did it all start from? Where did you get this idea of putting a bezel and then screws that go into the bezel? I have to say it's probably from Cartier. Unless anyone else has seen a watch with a bezel and screws going through it, please leave it in the comment section. I'd love to know. But for me, this is the start of it all. Okay, so that is the bezel, high polish with these screws. And then what is nice is the case itself has satin finish on the top, and then the edges are beveled and high polished, which just shows attention really to detail. Okay, and the crown, typical Cartier, it has this blue, I guess they call it a cabochon or something. Anyways, it's that's part of the crown, and it's signature Cartier. Okay, now let's move on to the bracelet here. Again, I want to say what I like about this bracelet is that it looks congruent or part of the watch. It does not look like the watch was designed and then just slammed a different bracelet on it. No, it looks, they've kept the same feature. And that's what I mean by the bezel having these screws. Well, they continued that into the bracelet such that the bracelet and the head of the watch look like they've been designed by one singular person. And I'll have to say, if you look at AP, which is the king of sports watches, they have done more or less the same thing. And where did they get this idea to integrate both the case and the bracelet such that it looks like one? I have to say it's probably from Cartier Santos. Okay, unless anyone knows better, but that's what I think. Okay, because AP also integrates their bracelet so that it looks like part of the head. Okay, and what else is cool that nobody else does is Cartier makes it so that you can do a quick switch, or they call quick release, or whatever you want to call it. You can actually change the strap, and Cartier wisely realized that, hey, not everybody wants to wear this watch always on a gold bracelet. It's a little bit too much, a little too heavy, a little bit too showy. So we're going to put it on this beautiful dark gray strap. What a good combination. And you can do a quick release by simply pressing this and pulling it out. Now, I have to say this also, you know, other brands have just started following suit on the quick release, that namely AP, Audemars Piguet, which had just started its quick release straps starting as of, I think, around 2020 or so, or 2022, not that long ago. And Patek Philippe does it. They've been doing it for quite some time, but it's not that hard because almost all their watches are on leather, and it's just a quick release on the spring bar is not really that hard to do. It's pretty basic. But Cartier has been doing this for a very long time, and on a lot of their watches, where you simply can remove the strap without any tools. Really cool idea, actually, and it gives the watch a totally new look. It on this leather. It's that alligator leather, by the way. Okay, now let's move on. Now we talked about the bracelet. Now let's move on here to the dial. The dial is a silvered opaline dial with blue steel sword hands. Okay, these hands here are blue. They're steel, but they're blue steeled sword hands. Okay, and in typical fashion, Cartier likes to do Roman numerals, and this was no different. And let me tell you something else. Look at the 7 o'clock, by the way. It actually says, you see the little V, the 5 part, it actually says Cartier right there, by the way. Okay, now let's move on to, we talked about the movement, we talked about all this stuff. Okay, time to try this watch on my wrist. Now, I'm 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, and I have a 7.5 inch wrist. As you can see, the watch looks really nice on me. It doesn't look too big, too small. I love that it's thin. I love that this is, if you're going to get like any Cartier, I would actually say the Santos would be the #1 watch to get, because it is the most recognizable, iconic watch of Cartier, and especially in this rose gold, I have to say it's a beautiful combination. So for that reason, I'm definitely going to give it 2 thumbs up. And if you want to buy it at jaztime.com for the lowest price anywhere online, click on the link in the description below.
If you want to find out more about the watch you just saw in the video, you can just click below on Show More to see the full description. Then you can check the link next to Model as seen in video, click on it, and you will get to the proper page where you can see all the details. If you're watching on a mobile phone, you have to click on the arrow down on the right hand side below the video to see the full description. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. If you would like to share this video with your friends, you can use the share button below and share it on any platform you like. If you have questions, constructive feedback, want to tell us about some mistakes or misspeaks, just write a comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, you should subscribe to our channel and visit our channel page where you can find all the videos. And if you're interested in a specific watch brand, you can check out our playlists. If you want to check the price for a watch or want to buy one, remember at jaztime.com you always get a steep discount, so you should check the prices with us. If you want to know the price for a specific watch, just go to Google, type in Jaztime, plus the brand, model, and the details you're interested in, and Google will find the right page for you. Thank you for watching.